welcome back to my channel. Last week I reviewed the new Lightgasm and Glowgasm palettes from Tilbury, and in that video I had discovered that it wasn't my favorite palette, and it wasn't because I didn't think they're absolutely beautiful, but the pigment just didn't quite show up the way I would have preferred. In that video I told you guys that I would come on camera and compare it to the Becca Khloe Malika palette for those of you out there that are really wanting to see the differences side by side. Because I've already done the full thorough review, I wanted to now come on really fast and just show you guys the differences between these two palettes and the way that they apply on the face. Now in my review I did not use my natural haired brushes, and there's a reason for that. I know that there's been a lot of reviews that have been up, and we all kind of have our own different take on these palettes. We all have our own different opinions, and it's because we all need and want something different from our makeup. That's why it's nice that there's so many things to choose from, because we all want something different. And I did not use my natural haired brushes. I did use my more affordable brushes in that video because I knew that there was a lot of people out there that are wanting to buy these palettes that maybe don't have the natural haired brushes. Of course, natural haired brushes are definitely going to apply products much more beautifully, much more pigmented. That's my experience. You guys know that I recently bought the Sonia G Pro Face Set. This is my first experience with, you know, more of a natural haired brush, and I definitely think that they apply products differently than you know, more of the synthetic brushes. And I've used BH Cosmetics, Morphe, Sigma, Luxie, all those different types of brushes for many years. And in this video I go ahead and apply the Lightgasm palette with my natural haired brushes from Sonia G, because I do want you guys to see how these apply with a more natural haired brush. I've been using this palette all weekend long, and I don't really feel like my opinion has changed on it since my review. I think the only thing that's changed is I do believe that if you apply these with a natural haired brush, you're definitely going to get more pigment, and I feel like it applies it just a little bit better. This palette is $44. This palette is $75, and I wanted to just come on camera and show you guys what the differences are between these two palettes. Now in my review I had an entire clip gone. I don't know if I didn't push record or what. I did swatch and compare this palette to a lot of different products that I have here in my collection, but in that video I actually swatched the Hourglass and the Bar of Gold palette next to this, but somehow I'm missing that footage, so I wanted to include that in here. I will leave timestamps in the description box down below for those of you that are not interested in, you know, seeing the swatches of the Hourglass and the Bar of Gold highlighter palette from Tilbury, but I wanted to include that in this video for those of you guys that would be interested in that. So in this video I just wanted to do some comparisons, show you guys the application, show you guys how they apply differently on the face, and then I will swatch it next to the two products that I talked about earlier, and then I will give you guys my final thoughts. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Okay, so here I am. I'm back from vacation and I'm ready to compare these side by side. I know that there's a lot of you out there that don't have these high-end, pricey, expensive natural haired brushes. This is my first set. This is the Pro Face Set from Sonia G, and I really love this Pro Face Set, and this is what I use pretty much on a daily basis. But in that video I didn't want the brushes to make this product work. I wanted to use this product with more affordable brushes for those of you out there that don't have the high end, because I feel like if you're going to spend $75 on a palette, you want to make sure that it's going to work with any brush that you have. Of course, I do think that these are going to make this palette apply so much better, but from a reviewing standpoint, I feel like that comes from a disadvantage for me using these expensive high-end brushes. This is a $250 brush set, you guys. I feel like that's a disadvantage, or $270. This is a $270 brush set. So I feel like it's a disadvantage to come on here and use these high-end, expensive, natural haired brushes, where some of these brushes are $50, $60, $70 a piece. Now, I did use this over the weekend. It does apply it better. I don't know that it's good enough to say that it's worth the $75, but it does apply so much prettier with a natural haired brush. I wanted to, you know, briefly talk about that before I go in and start playing with these palettes. These palettes are very similar. You've got the peach tones and you have a beautiful bronzer, and it's just, I feel like these two are more comparable than the Lovegasm and the Becca. Now, if I had the Malika palette, I would definitely compare the Lovegasm and the Malika palette, but I don't have the Malika palette anymore. I actually gave it to a friend of mine that has a deeper complexion than me, and so we're just gonna do with what I've got. I'm gonna first take the Face Pro brush, and I'm gonna go into the bronzer, and I'm gonna apply that on this side. So, all right, so I'm gonna go this is the problem. I just don't get much pigment, you guys. I just don't get much pigment. I mean, you guys can see I've went in several times trying to get this to pull up. This bronzer is definitely not for those of you out there that have a medium skin tone. Like, I don't know that you're gonna get it to show up very good. So I'm wiping it off here on a towel that I have here. These do wipe off product really good. I mean, they wipe off good. So now I'm gonna go into this bronzer. And I'm gonna go in like this, okay? You can already see I have some here. So as you can see the difference, this is the Becca side and this is the Charlotte Tilbury side. Okay, so definitely, and I want to make that clear, you know, some were saying, well, Charlotte Tilbury palettes are meant to be undetectable on the skin, but just really bring life to the skin, and that's very true, but I get that from the Becca Khloe palette. So the Becca Khloe palette is not like it's overly pigmented. I don't feel like it's just pigmented enough where it's buildable. This bronzer is not that pigmented when you first apply it, but it's extremely buildable. And that's what, in my opinion, was missing from the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. So I'm gonna go back in and build it. That's going in twice. Now, you've seen on this side, I went in 3 times, okay? So I'm gonna do the exact same thing. I'm gonna go in one more time. I'm gonna go in one more time. All right, so this is 3 times with the bronzer from the Becca palette, and this is 3 times going in with the bronzer in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. So just so you guys can see the difference, and this still looks very light, very beautiful on the face. I don't have any contour on or anything like that. I kind of wanted to just keep this all about the powders and not contour underneath. Typically, I would go in with a contour first, a cream contour, and then kind of, you know, brush these over top, but I wanted to kind of keep it without that. I'm gonna go in up here and bring some along my forehead and kind of just shape the face up. Okay, now I'm gonna wipe the brush off so you can see I have some here. Okay, so now I've got that pretty well clean. Let's go into this one from Charlotte Tilbury, and I'm just gonna, all right, I'm gonna bring some along the forehead. I just wish this bronzer was more buildable. I feel like this bronzer would be pretty on a lighter complexion, but it's just not really working for me. Like, you can see, like, it just doesn't really look like I put anything on. I don't know. It's just me, you guys. Like, it doesn't work for my skin tone. Next up, I'm gonna take this brush, okay? So I'm gonna go into this blush right here. This blush from the Becca palette. Pop that on. Oh, it's so pretty. Look how pretty that is. All right, now I'm gonna wipe the brush off. And I'm gonna go into this shade right here in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. And I got some here. Okay, I'm gonna go in one more time. So now you can see this is the Charlotte Tilbury side, this is the Becca side. And as you can see, the Becca side still, like, I'm starting to get some really nice, beautiful glow to my skin. And it's really, really pretty. And I've got it here on the Charlotte Tilbury, but it's very faint. And that's okay. I mean, it's a preference. I definitely like this side, but it's because we're all different in what we like in makeup. this is just definitely a demonstration for you guys to see the differences between these two palettes and the way that they apply on the skin. Next up, I'm going to take the Cheek Pro right here, and I'm going to go into this pop. So when I apply this palette, I go in with the bronzer, and then I go in with this blush, which is, I feel like, the main blush. So I will typically go in with this right here to kind of give it that pop, and that's kind of what this palette is in the Charlotte Tilbury. This is kind of the main blush, and then this is described as a pop of fur color on the face. So that's how I'm going to apply this. So I'm going to go in right here and pick some up. Not that I really need it because I'm already pretty shiny. Look how pretty that is. Oh, now I did emphasize I have a little like pimple. It's kind of like a little mark right here. And of course, going in with a glowy product like that is going to emphasize that texture. So I'm going to wipe this off, wipe the brush off. Okay, I got it nice and clean. And then I'm going to go in to this one, which is her pop of, what does she call that? Her pop of blush. Okay. There. All right, now I'm going to take the fan brush, and this is the Fan Pro from the Pro Face set, and I'm going to go into the highlighter. It's one of my favorite highlighters. Oh my gosh. Do you guys see that? How pretty that is? It's so beautiful. Look at that. Boom. Dang, look at that. So pretty. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm going to wipe this off. So I'm going to go into this one from the Charlotte Tilbury. Now I do love the highlighter in that. I mean, look how pretty that is. That is a beautiful, very natural, subtle glow. So I would say the highlighter, in my opinion, is my favorite. It's my favorite in this palette. I love the way that that highlighter applies on my face. And again, you can definitely see the differences between the way that these look, and it boils down to preference, you guys. There are so many of you out there that love this light flush of color, little bit of shimmer on the skin. There's so many of you out there that don't go in heavy-handed with your blush. For me, I prefer this side because I can see some dimension in the face. It's preference, you guys. It's all going to be, boils down to preference. What you like versus what I like. So I am going to spray this just so that I can kind of set everything down. Next up, I'm going to take the fan brush, and I am going to go into the Glowgasm because I feel like that's fair, because I'm going to bring a little bit of that around the Cupid's bow. This is a beautiful highlighter. I think this is definitely my favorite shade in the palette. I just love this highlighter. I love it so much. I think it's absolutely beautiful. This is the Charlotte Tilbury side, and you can see some of that like really pretty shimmer. And I mean, it's really pretty. As you can see, the highlighter is really, really pretty. It just is a really beautiful highlighter. And then this is the Becca side. And again, this highlighter is so pretty. It's so beautiful. I love the highlighter from the Becca Khloe palette. This right here, what you're seeing is this right here. As you can see it kind of popping right there. But for me, this Becca side is just what I like. It fits my need. Okay, so let's go ahead and play with these on the eye. I'm gonna take just a brush and go into the bronzer, but you gotta really press it to pick it up. Okay. And I'm just gonna kind of okay. I'm gonna go in one more time, kind of digging it in the pan. Now I'm just going to go with my finger because going in with a brush I didn't really have the best luck with. So I'm just going to take my finger and go into this shade right here. It's absolutely beautiful on the eye. It is really pretty on the eye. Maybe going in with a flat brush like this. Let's try it and see. Maybe spray it down. I mean, hell, I'm willing to try anything. Just for you guys to see how this works. Ooh, that's pretty. Let's go in with this kind of a brush and go into the highlighter. Okay, kind of. All right. All right, now I'm going to take that same brush. I've got it wiped off. Now I'm going to go into the Becca Khloe bronzer right here. And let's put this on this eye. I'm going to go in with my finger and I'm going to go in to this shade right here. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit darker. So let me go into the lighter one with my finger. I am going to actually take that brush I used and go into that lighter one from Charlotte or from Becca. So I'm going into this one right here and I'm going to spray it. And then I just love this palette. And I think that's the thing is that, you know, this Becca palette, I've actually been using it more than I did my Hourglass palette, and which was really shocking because I loved my Hourglass Edit palette. But I've actually found myself reaching for this one over that one. Now I'm going to go in with this brush. I've got it wiped off here. I'm going to go into the highlighter from Becca and slap that on. Oh, damn. Look at that inner corner highlight, peeps. Okay, so that inner corner highlight is definitely popping. I mean, it's definitely, I got a little bit carried away with the inner corner, but I did put the inner corner highlight using the Charlotte Tilbury. So I'm going to wipe this brush off and I'm going to go in one more time and see if I can get this one to kind of build up and match what I've got on this side from the Becca. So maybe dig my brush in there and maybe wet it. Let's try to spray it and see. Okay, that's better. Okay, so I just went ahead and threw on a little bit of mascara. I don't have a lot of makeup on, which I'm totally fine with. I do think this looks really pretty, but it's just kind of a light flush of color, and it's very natural. This side, you know, is kind of fits me more. It just is what it is. I know that I compared these palettes to a lot of palettes and blushes and bronzers and stuff like that, but, you know, for the sake of giving you all the information that I possibly can, I wanted to go ahead and compare it to this palette as well. So this is the bronzer from the Charlotte Tilbury palette, and this is the bronzer from the Hourglass palette. So you guys can see the difference. This one's definitely a little bit more cooler, neutral toned. This one's more warmer. Let's go into this blush shade right here. And then let's compare it to this blush shade in the Charlotte Tilbury palette. This is the shade from the Hourglass palette. This shade right here. It's one of the first kind of nude blush. And then this one is the Charlotte Tilbury. And as you can see, the one from Charlotte Tilbury is definitely more shimmery. I cannot stand the way this looks right here. I need to kind of blend this in. It's just like I have this like white cast of craziness right here. So again, the one from Charlotte Tilbury is much more shimmery. It's got that beautiful kind of sheen to it. So just so you guys can see the differences between that. Now let's do the highlighter. Okay, so there's the differences between the two highlighters. This is the Hourglass and then this is the Charlotte Tilbury. So there is the palette compared to the Hourglass palette. There's some similarities, but I definitely think the Charlotte Tilbury palette has more of that shimmery effect to it. All right, let's compare the highlighter to the Bar of Gold palette. So these three right here are from the Bar of Gold, and this is from the Lightgasm palette. So this is the Bar of Gold. As you can see, the Bar of Gold palette has a gold, a pink, and more of like a light gold highlighter, and then this one is from the Lightgasm palette, and I would say it's very similar to this shade right here. So in my opinion, this shade right here in the Bar of Gold palette, let's put it right next to this one from the Lightgasm. That's the Lightgasm, and these are the Bar of Gold. This is the pink one in the middle, and as you can see, they kind of have the same sheen to them, but the ones from the Bar of Gold, I would say, are a little bit more shimmery than the Lightgasm. Okay, so overall, you guys, I just feel like this palette is preference, and we all apply our makeup differently. We all need something different from our makeup, and as much as I love me some Charlotte Tilbury, this palette kind of fell short for me, and that's okay. It's okay. It's not that deep. It's makeup. I do love my Becca Khloe palette, and you know, for $44, I feel like this, for those of you out there that don't want to spend the $75 for the Lightgasm palette, or you really can't afford to spend $75 on a face palette, let's just say that you like the way that the Lightgasm is just a very light effect on the skin. You can achieve the exact same thing with the Khloe palette. Just don't go in as many times as I did. You know, I went in with 3 times on each side. You can totally go in 1 or 2 times with the Becca Khloe palette and achieve the same type of effect that this gives to the skin. They just have a little bit different formulas. But other than that, the shades are very similar. And for me, the bronzer is definitely more buildable in the Becca palette. I'm obsessed with this palette. It's just preference. So that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed this comparison video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Thank you guys again for all the love that you guys have shown me and my channel. It truly means the world to me. And don't forget to come right back here tomorrow, because I'm going to be reviewing the new Jeffree Star concealers and the setting powder. I'm really excited about it. Come right back here tomorrow so you guys can check that out. And I hope you guys have a wonderful day filled with love and happiness. I will see you guys right back here tomorrow, and I love you all so much. Bye.